Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Sam Kieth Day, so we are looking at The Incredible Hulk issue 368, cover dated April 1990. I could be wrong, but I do believe this is Sam Kieth's first Marvel issue ever. This is a fill-in issue before Dale Keane actually jumps on with issue 369. We've been looking at Dale Keane on Wednesdays and his Incredible Hulk run, so this is just prior to that. Two things to keep in mind when looking at this issue, and those two things are Sam Kieth himself, the artist, but also Kelly Jones, another artist that if you know about Sam Kieth, you probably have heard of Kelly Jones as well. They have kind of a, I don't want to say a similar style necessarily, but a very kind of complementary style. Both their styles kind of mesh well together. I'm familiar with both artists. I do enjoy both of them. And the reason I mentioned Kelly Jones is he actually helps out with the inking on this issue. So I'm not exactly sure who does what, but there's a few kind of general differences in their artwork that we can look for when we go through this issue and try to guess who did what. This cover here gives you a good example of classic Sam Kieth. I'm assuming Kieth inked the cover himself. That's obviously all him, right? And covers a good kind of spot to spotlight your artwork, right? So we're getting a lot of the Sam Kieth stuff that he's known for, the hatching, his style of hatching, the somewhat angular outlines of the muscles, and generally a more textured kind of dirty look, I would say, dirty in a good way. So in the sense of the way he uses the material and is not afraid to kind of throw it on the board. So you have kind of a classic example of this here, but when we go through the comic, there will be some things that are kind of more representative of Kelly Jones's art that I'm going to point out. One thing I will point out, once again, it seems during this period, Marvel was really kind of, cutting it close here with the title. And also, I'm not quite sure, but I just noticed this, I think the Hulk only has 3 fingers there. That other one's kind of squished, or is that a fold on his hand? Not quite sure, but yeah, that's a kind of a weird thing there. But really doesn't take away from my enjoyment of this illustration here and of the comic itself. So let's have a look inside. So yeah, let's look at the credits. Written by Peter David, guest penciled by Sam Kieth, inked by Sam Kieth and Kelly Jones. So for example, this page here setting the tone, definitely if you're the artist and you're just kind of getting an ink assist from a buddy, you would set the tone with the first page. So I do think, if I had to guess, that this is Sam Kieth. I recognize kind of his style of hatching here, his style of simplifying certain elements with the faces and the hands. And this texture here I would definitely associate more with Sam Kieth than with Kelly Jones. Kelly Jones tends to have a slightly slicker finish. They're both kind of influenced by Bernie Wrightson, but they kind of interpret it in slightly different ways. Although overall, the way they interpret, the folds and stuff on clothing, that's kind of a specific element, but it's something you need to master as an artist, or at least get really good at. Definitely from the Wrightson school, but there are similarities in that, and I'll point those out again as we see parts I think maybe Kelly Jones actually inked and worked on. So I still couldn't tell you. I think this page does seem fairly Sam Kiethy overall. It's like on this page here that I start to think, I feel like Kelly Jones inked this page. So the contours here, the whole face and the shading on the face here, definitely to me is more kind of a Kelly Jones thing. It almost looks like Kelly Jones drew this. And some of the feathering and the way the silhouette and the darks are chosen here. I would guess Kelly Jones had more inking to do on this page, for example. We move to this page, and all of a sudden the artwork's a little dirtier, So is that Sam Kieth all of a sudden? Not quite sure, because some of these mountains kind of could fool me. You could fool me into thinking these are Kelly Jones mountains, for lack of a better term. That's unfortunate, right? That kind of surprinted the black here. So another page like this, for example, again, I would tend to think that's like, there's something very Kelly Jones and a bit smoother about the inking and the finish than I would expect from Sam Kieth, right? Kelly Jones just always tends to be a little bit cleaner. And Sam Keith tends to be a bit dirtier and grittier. And it would make sense as an artist, you know, if you're having a friend help you out, you're going to unfortunately give them the more boring pages, right? When I look at these now, all of a sudden, there's that almost constant bit of grit and dirt that Sam Keith throws in there, almost like more the crumb somehow, kind of a crumb influence that maybe Kelly Jones doesn't really have as much. Maybe he was more interested in these pages. And again, who inked what? I'm not quite sure. Trying to find, you know, pretty obvious examples. Very cool right here. Could not tell you if that is Kelly Jones or Sam Keith. Sometimes their styles mesh, you know, pretty much perfectly. Something here says Kelly Jones more to me than it does Sam Keith. So basically, you know, Bruce Banner has disguised himself as a military guy looking for the Hulk and somehow snuck into this train here, but has figured out that he's also in there with Mr. Hyde. And Mr. Hyde has figured out, or will figure out, that he's Bruce Banner and also the Hulk, right? And at this time, Hulk, Bruce Banner turns into Hulk when it gets dark outside, I believe. Great lighting here. Very hard to do. When I look at like this figure here and the way it's inked in, this here seems more like Kelly Jones than Sam Keith to me. And there is something just slightly smoother about this page. The drapings here, that looks like Kelly Jones kind of drapings to me. And then, yeah, so these pages all of a sudden get very dirty, right? Not quite as smooth. So I would definitely venture to say that these two pages are inked by Sam Keith. Everything's slightly more angular, dirtier, way more spray, and Hyde's just, you know, beating the crap out of them. And again, because these are the more interesting pages overall, I definitely think these are the ones inked by Sam Keith. Again, we get the arm hair. There's the typical Sam Keith arm hair, the facial hair. He's still got like just a little bit of splatter going on pretty much everywhere, right? Everything's just dirtier and grittier with Sam. I love these effects here he's doing with the light. Both these guys have a huge horror influence. It's very like Frankenstein-y, right? It makes sense. I mean, you know, the character from horror literature, Mr. Hyde, is literally in the story here. Love these, yeah. I mean, this could maybe be Kelly Jones, you know, trying to mimic Sam Keith and being a bit dirtier. Or it could be Sam Keith. It's really hard to tell in some instances. I do really like the texture and the anatomy of the muscles. I haven't talked too much about Sam Keith. You know, he exaggerates stuff, but I feel like his basic anatomy is sound and he does know how things connect together. He just likes to exaggerate it, which is fine. Fun too. So this page, again, there's something in it where I almost feel Kelly Jones probably inked this one. It's a little less angular, something a bit smoother about the hatching. And then, of course, once we get, you know, the Hulk and some cool poses and not lots of musculature to kind of work out and draw, you get Sam Keith inks. Storytelling is good. Lots of panels. He's, you know, in spite of his art being somewhat I mean, clearly not house style, maybe coming out of left field a little bit, he's still doing some pretty good storytelling. You know, the story is easy to follow. I stop here because I do love when artists do this kind of idea of having one big panel but split into smaller panels, you know, into different configurations and stuff. It just kind of slows time down a bit, I guess, is the effect it's meant to have. And it just, for some reason, yeah, not, you know, I wouldn't use it all the time, but it can help make an image a little more interesting somehow, just by being, you know, split into different compartments of time. Love all the feathering here. Really well done. And there's just some stuff that, like, for a Marvel comic, right? Like, it's very, this, nothing wrong with it. I like it, but it's just kind of odd for a superhero comic. It's a little more underground, right? Not the, the understanding of anatomy and, exaggeration stuff is sound, but just such an odd kind of angle, right? But it's great. I think that's what, helped kind of bring attention to Sam Kieth, the fact that his style was so different from everyone else, and not just from Marvel house style, DC house style, but also from the other Image guys, at least at this time. Great feat. And again, just continuing from Aliens. I don't know if he's done the circular panel in here, but he's really trying to vary the sizes and the angles and stuff and make it a little bit more interesting. Like, this is, you got to plan for that, and I feel like he's done it pretty well here, storytelling wise anyways. I don't think it's going to confuse anyone when you're reading this, right? To do this and then come back up makes sense. One of those great Sam Kieth profiles here. I like this little detail that he's thrown in, that, like, whatever he's obviously pushing against with his foot is crackling under the pressure here, right, onto the page. That's pretty cool. I guess Sam Kieth's version of the vertical panel. We're going to see a lot of these in the early 90s, right? Get used to it. Always really liked this panel here. This one's great. Great close-up, but just something about, I don't know, just the right, perfect framing and everything. That look of discontent. Now here they fall down, and I definitely think this actually is a Kelly Jones inked page. The way he does the water here is very reminiscent of how he does water in his own comics. The way he the same kind of texture he uses on Batman's cape, I think, is similar here. I would definitely say that this is some Kelly Jones inking on this page. And of course, well, for consistency's sake, it does make sense for the artist to finish that last page and do the inking himself. Do you think, all the Sam Kiethisms are starting to appear? The ripped clothing and uniform, right? The texture, those angular thick lines for the contours, arm hair, feathering. I think Sam Kieth always really enjoyed, the arm hair. The Hulk usually is not hairy, but in this case he is. And that's how Sam Kieth likes it. There you go. We've reviewed that one before. So that is it for Sam Kieth at Marvel Comics, The Incredible Hulk 368. Did you enjoy this issue? Leave your opinions in the comments. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. That really helps us and keeps us going. I just want to wish everyone out there who checked out the episode a great day, and I hope to see you for more soon.
Like! Subscribe! Like! Subscribe!
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13. 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.